Hi, everyone. Happy Monday, and we're going to start your week out right, because today we're going to be making fun of the United States Secret Service, which has become exceptionally low-hanging fruit these days. But over the weekend, we had an incident where the most elite security force on the face of the planet, one of their officers shot themselves accidentally. Yep. Great weapons handling. Now seems like an opportune time to talk about medical gear outfitters. We don't talk about medical enough. Oftentimes it gets relegated to the background. Lots of people carry guns, but don't carry basic things like tourniquets, for instance. Well, the place that I use is Medical Gear Outfitters. You've heard about them before. They're good people over there. They've got everything from like your specialized kits for like car accidents and stuff like that to the individual items where you need like chest seals, tourniquets, or you need something to fix Timmy's scraped up knee. You can get it all over there at Medical Gear Outfitters, and they do offer you guys a discount, and you can find all that information over at the affiliates page. But what I will leave you with is, even if you don't know how to use all of the equipment, having the equipment so that maybe somebody comes along that does know how to use it, will have the tools that they need to help people, is a responsibility that we should all take. I don't know, maybe you've been living under a rock for a little bit, but the United States Secret Service is in full disgrace these days. I mean, we're talking, count them, 2 assassination attempts on the same dude running for president of the United States within a 3-month period. And both of them are easily identified as failures in perimeter security. Yeah, that's pretty bad. When the scope of your mission is basically perimeter security. This is what happens when you take an organization who has a very defined scope, who's supposed to be like the best in the world, and you pack it full of a bunch of political hires. The Cheeto lady was forced out of her position after the first attempt, but the word on the street is that her second, this goofball over here, isn't any better and is possibly worse than she is. So I don't expect this culture to change anytime soon. And I've said this on record already before. Mr. President, if you're watching this video, you should go hire Blackwater or somebody like that to handle your security, because clearly these people are not getting it done. So along with the long list of failures that we've seen recently in major public displays, including perimeter security, intelligence failures, just the inability to stop somebody who is literally scoping out a political candidate for hours ahead of an event, and then literally having a dude camp out next to one of the president's scheduled events. On top of that, we get to add weapons handling to the list of failures. This comes out of Washington, D.C. Saturday night, a United States Secret Service officer, while on duty, had a negligent discharge while he was handling his service weapon and shot himself. Non-life-threatening injuries, expected to make a full recovery. Now, the reason that I point this out, in addition to the fact that it is the Secret Service and they're really easy to make fun of these days, we are constantly told from the gun controllers that we as citizens don't have the requisite training to be able to do this sort of stuff, and that, you know, the cops are the only people that should have guns, the military are the only people that should have guns, and that we as citizens are the civilians that don't know what they're doing, and they're a danger to society for having these weapons, and et cetera, et cetera. You've seen all the flavors of things that are out there that are pro law enforcement having guns, as in the police having guns is cool, the military having guns is cool, but you having guns is not cool because you're the dangerous ones.
Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40.
Yeah, it turns out this happens a lot. I did a quick scan, and in the last 5 days, there have been, as far as I can tell, 6 incidents of police officers shooting themselves with their service weapons. I want to know how many of those are SIG 320s, but it seems to me like all of them were occurring while the officer was doing something with their firearm. So the idea that the citizens, the people who actually go out there and pay to have themselves trained, instead of we paying officers to go to training instead of seeking out the training for themselves, we are the ones that are the problem, the people who are going out there and getting the advanced training. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. In fact, I will go as far as to say that I have done a decent amount of work with local law enforcement agencies over the years, and all of the times I have had a loaded firearm pointed at my face inadvertently was by a cop. In fact, there was one incident that was so bad that I can tell you what kind of ammunition that police department issues because I got to see the gold dot from the wrong end. So don't tell me for a second that me and my fellow citizens are the ones that are dangerous with the guns. No, don't tell me that the citizens are not qualified to have guns, because the people who are the trained ones, the ones that are supposed to be the professionals, are the ones that are out there shooting themselves all the time.
We're at a pivotal moment in the history of the Secret Service and at a pivotal moment in the history of our country. And I've directed that the Secret Service embark on a significant paradigm shift that will redefine how we conduct protective operations.
And course 1 begins now, courtesy of yours truly, U.S. Secret Service. Please pay attention to the 4 rules of firearm safety. Rule 1, treat all guns as though they are loaded all the time. Rule 2, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you have made the decision to shoot. 3, never let your muzzle cover anything you are not willing to destroy. And Rule 4, know your target, its foreground, and its background. Memorize those rules, and memorize those rules with that specific language. It applies to every single situation you could ever possibly be in with a firearm, whether you're cleaning the gun, whether you're practicing your draws, whether you're dry fire practicing, whether you're live fire practicing, whether you're using it on duty, whether you're using it in an active shooter situation. It does not matter what situation you are in. These 4 rules apply all the time. And if you follow those 4 rules, even if you violate one of those 4 rules, then usually there's enough redundancy built into those 4 rules that the situation is substantially mitigated. When you end up breaking more than one of those rules, that's when you end up having some kind of catastrophic situation that results in serious injury or death. Treating the guns like they're loaded all the time means that you respect the lethality of that firearm. You have not become complacent because you carry the gun every day. It's another thing that you put on. I carry a gun every single day, sometimes more than one gun every single day. And the purpose of that rule is to ensure that your complacency doesn't turn it into a dangerous situation. The second rule, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you've made the decision to shoot. That means that you are not doing the thing where your finger automatically finds itself inside the trigger guard. It is an active, conscious thought to take your finger from the high port position down to the trigger. If you train that finger to go to the strenuous position of all the way up, you can never get high enough with that trigger finger, then you will never have a situation, even if you're using a Blackhawk Serpa that everybody rips on or whatever the heck else is out there these days that has some kind of retention holster on it. Regardless of whatever it is that you're using, if you train that properly to stretch that trigger finger all the way up there, you will never accidentally discharge your firearm. What happens is people get complacent, they let that finger get wobbly, and it ends up in that trigger guard, and bad things happen. If you never let the muzzle cover anything that you're not willing to destroy, you don't destroy anything that you don't want to. That's pretty simple. And know that your target, its foreground and background, means you know the target, what it is, what it's composed of, what kind of rounds you can use against it, and then what is in front of it. The bullet's got to get there, and then if you miss or the bullet passes through that, depending on its composition, you can mitigate all of the dangers associated with the fact that you just sent a hunk of lead and copper through the air. If you're using a handgun, about 1,600 feet per second. If you're using a rifle, somewhere around 2,500 feet per second. Those all have bad consequences if you do not follow those 4 rules. Again, this is not something that we should have to tell the Secret Service, but apparently they need to pay closer attention to their training regimen and how to handle firearms. That said, that's all I got for you guys today. Happy Monday again, everybody. And let me know what you think about this situation in the comment section down below.